everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Mafia Pregame Report. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. As always, I'm Mike Thornton, and joining me is my co-host, Jake Podger. Jake, how you doing?
Mike, I am in shock right now. Look at us. I think we made it to the big time here. I don't know what's going on, but I mean, maybe you could elaborate a little more on that, but I feel pretty damn good. You know, we got a long wait ahead of us. We got about 7 hours here till kickoff. So, yeah, it's a long wait, but at least it's not an 8:15 game. And we got the Bucks and Rams beforehand. Don't forget about that. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I know. And both of these games now mean more than they ever have. I mean, the winning team for both of these games is going to be hosting a championship game. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yes, take a look at us, Jake. We've gone big time here. We're going in our virtual studio. It took us a long time to get here. We're virtual. We're in downtown Buffalo in the Ellicott Square building. We got some space there. Take a look at that. Beautiful.
Hey, brick
studio.
by brick.
I love
brick
this.
by brick.
I love it, right?
Look at the ticker on the bottom. That's sharp, Mike. I love that. That's amazing.
Fun
stuff.
Know,
I think I'm going to be the first on studio person to ever do this, at the sports desk, but I'm going to crack one of these right now.
Oh, let's go.
So we'll see if it explodes too, because it's been in my garage where the temps have been bitter cold. Just to give you an update on the Buffalo weather, it's been between -5 degrees and 28 degrees, and now it's snowing right now. I'm going to have to probably go out and snow blow after the show. So that's where we're at.
Oh, man.
Cheers.
So talk to me a little bit, before we get into the show, let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. Both the top seeds getting knocked out. Were you surprised at all?
Yeah, I 100% was. I just think the Titans, they kind of threw that game away. Ryan Tannehill did not play nearly good enough to win that game, and they're lucky it was as close as it was. Derrick Henry looked really good at the beginning, but almost a little hesitant towards the end. It's the first time, I think, ever. Well, first time since 2010. I'm sorry. First time since 2010 that both number one seeds were knocked out of the divisional round on the same day. And that was actually the Patriots by the Jets and then the Falcons against the Packers. So Karma came back and bit the Packers right in the ass from 2010. I don't know if you call it karma, but it's kind of crazy how history repeats itself, and it does it in opposite fashion.
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about real quick each game. So the first game with the Bengals versus Tennessee, like you said. So Tannehill didn't show up. I mean, the first pass of the game is an interception. His last pass of the game is an interception, which cost him the game. Derrick Henry, like you said, what was... And I guess this was to be expected. They were taking him out. They were limiting his snaps. He looked a little gassed on the sidelines at times.
He did.
So, but of course, the guy who came in for him, Foreman, was a beast. I mean, he's almost
tremendous.
He's almost like a mini Derrick Henry, right? He's got the same little. My son and I were joking about. I don't know how Derrick Henry plays with that ponytail, the braid out the back, but Foreman has a similar thing as well, right? That was just crazy. And then
he was electric when he came in. I think it was a 54-yard run. He almost got as many rushing yards in that single carry as Derrick Henry had all game. So pretty wild. He looked more explosive. I think they should have went with him a little bit more. Maybe he could have got that first down on 4th and 1 that they failed to convert. There was just huge. A lot of things. And you know what? The Bengals, credit to them. I think Joe Burrow came out there with swagger. He was throwing the ball well. Yeah, he took a lot of bad sacks, but he's a young quarterback. I think he's going to learn. His O-line gave him no help. Hakeem Adeniji got absolutely destroyed. So good news about the Bengals if we do play him, God willing. Their offensive line kind of in shambles right now.
I mean, they gave up 9 sacks, Jake. Yeah. It's amazing to me that they were able to win that game. 9 sacks?
Yep. Yeah.
Incredible. And then the nightcap last night. I mean, Lambeau Field, the snow, it was cold.
That was art.
Right? Wasn't it?
I know. Amazing.
I had to text you. I just knew you were loving that game because that's your element. You love that type of element. And it was surprising. I mean, the boys from California, 49ers out there in Lambeau, you would think, and it looked early on, they were dropping balls or like I was like texting a friend of mine who is a 49er fan. I'm like, your guys just aren't used to the cold. They can't catch the ball. But they turned that around, and that defense, holy cow, they did a fantastic job. It looked early on like I think the Packers came down on the first drive and scored, right? And then that was it. That was it. So it was pretty impressive for the 49er defense.
And you know what's wild is they didn't score a defensive touchdown or an offensive touchdown. Their only touchdown came on that punt block. And I mean, that's the game right there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just absolutely wild. Then, you know, it's what so Aaron Rodgers, I know he's taking a lot of slack from the media and stuff like that. I personally love him. I like that he speaks his mind. I think he's an unreal quarterback, obviously one of the best of our generation. A pleasure to watch the guy. It might be his last game in Green Bay. But let me tell you something. It's crazy. You go back to like week 3 or week 4 of the NFL season early on when they played the Bears and he scored a rushing touchdown and he went up to the crowd and he said, "I own you." Well, guess who won the game for the 49ers? Former Chicago Bears kicker, Robbie Gould.
Oh,
Isn't that
yes.
wild?
Oh, yes. I mean, I feel like they were doing their best to jinx him because they kept repeating how he's never missed in postseasons, never missed a field goal. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, man, they're setting them up for failure big time here.
Their offense just didn't play well in the second half. The first half, they were kind of rolling a little bit. Yeah, they had the blocked field goal, but they just couldn't get it done in the second half. A.J. Dillon being out, I think, hurt a little bit too, but there was just a lot of missed opportunities. Some missed throws by Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it was credit to the Niners defense. They played well.
Yeah, I thought Jimmy G, I mean, the guy got a little lucky there. He threw at least 3 or 4 outs where he was just kind of throwing it up, and they could have been pick sixes easily. They made mention of that a few times. Got a little lucky, but I think you got to get a little lucky in these type of games. It comes down when the teams are so evenly matched. And that block punt, I mean, it was funny because no one knew where it was. They blocked the punt. It went in the air, and everyone's looking around. Where the heck is this thing? It finally lands, and it happens to land right there in front of a 49er. So great game. So what that means, again, I said it earlier, whoever wins these games today is going to be hosting a championship game. So anyhow, out there in the channel, we got my son Brandon. Good to see you, buddy. My dad's out there saying both the teams he rooted for yesterday won. Yep, same here. I was pulling for both the teams that won. And then Uncle Jay out there saying the set looks amazing. Yeah, Uncle Jay, we're virtual, man. It's our virtual studio down in Ellicott Square in downtown Buffalo. So I hope you enjoy it. For those that are new to the channel, we're joking, of course. We're virtual. I don't want anyone thinking and coming down to the Ellicott Square building.
This is legit, Mike.
Looking for our studio.
Legit as a gift. We'll be outside signing autographs after.
Yeah, come down and check out the show. We'll bring you into the studio and we'll put you on live.
That's right.
All right, well, let's get into this show. Big week, Jake. So we got lots to talk about, and again, it's those Chiefs, and we kind of, I don't know about you, but when we beat them earlier in the year, I didn't think they were going to miss the playoffs, but they weren't looking good. But I kind of felt like they're going to come back, and sure enough, they passed us and took that second seed. They actually had the first seed locked up until they lost to the Bengals a few weeks back. So here we are again, rematch. Let's get into the show, man.
Let's do it. All
right. So on the injury side, nothing to report on the Bills. Again, this is crazy this time of the year. Same thing in Kansas City. They had Darrell Williams, who was questionable. These are as of late last night. They could have been cleared even. Rashad Fenton, their cornerback, was also questionable. So I expect these guys to play. There was nothing that made me think that they weren't going to. But again, at this time of the year in the playoffs, to not have, I mean, for this injury report to be as clean as it is, just amazing to me.
It is for both teams, really.
Yeah.
Impressive.
And let me show you. Let's talk about the weather. I mean, there's not much to talk about there either. This is no excuse weather. We're going to be at 37 degrees roughly at kickoff. Winds 3 miles per hour out of the south. Perfect football weather, right, Jake?
It's great. You can't beat that. I mean, we shouldn't have any issues. I hope no one complains about the weather today because it's as great as you want it to be in January, especially in KC where it gets nice and cold there too. So no excuses on that end.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. So the end of this game, nobody's going to be like, oh, it was the wind that cost us the game, or it was the rain. Nope, this is it now. And it's nice. I think I like I've told you earlier in the season, I like these type of weather games because now you're going to see the best of the best, right? There's no other factor other than the refs, which always seem to play a factor. But we'll see. Hopefully we got a crew today that's going to let them play football and not call every little thing.
That's right. That's right. Let them play. And Mike, I want to talk about something too. So my brother-in-law's girlfriend sent me this hilarious post, and I think I'm going to do it. I might do it live right now. So she sent this thing. Someone posted on Facebook, and they said, Bill's Mafia, download the the Ami Jukebox app, add $5 for 10 credits, then search bars in KC and play the Shout song on all of their jukeboxes. So I think I got to do it. I mean, it's only right. I actually already had this app downloaded, so I already added the $5. So I got my credits, and I'm just going to search a couple different bars, and I think I'm going to play the Shout song. So I don't know if bars are open. I know it's an hour time difference. It's 10 o'clock, 10:11 there right now. So,
yeah.
Maybe I'll wait. Maybe I should wait. I don't know. I'm going to try playing one right now. We'll see if any of them are online.
Oh, dude, that's hysterical. That is absolutely hysterical. And you're right. It's probably maybe 1 hour early, but why not? Give it a shot.
That's absolutely. I just did. So I don't know if it's playing or not, but I can at least hold true in my heart that, I did my job. And, if we could just taunt them a little bit, then that's what we're going to do.
I was introducing everyone at the office to the Shout song last week, and they were getting a little tired.
Which version? The actual, the Bill Shout song? Because I think that's like the actual version now. I don't even listen to the other one.
No, the one that's played at the Bills games. Nice. And they got a little tired of me by the end of the week, but it was funny. I was going all over the office playing that song, and
I love it. That's amazing.
Antonio saying, wait, what is the app called? He wants to do this, wants to get in on that.
So Antonio, it's called Ami Jukebox, and it's spelled AMI and then Jukebox. You can go to the App Store or whatever. I don't know if you have Android or iPhone, but yeah, go to the store, download the app. You got to put in some credits, and then you could search bars within the Kansas City area, and you can hit one of them. And it'll have them grayed out if they're not available, and if they have a jukebox available, you can click on them and then play the song. So just amazing. I love technology. It's great.
It is. Before we move on to the next slide, Jake, I know you were saying you had a trivia question for us. I forgot to ask that right off the bat. So throw that trivia question out to the channel and me. I haven't gotten any of your trivia questions, but let's give it a shot.
I think you might have a shot at this one, Mike. So first off, I was thinking of this the other day, and I was, I'm kind of a stat nerd. So I was on Pro Football Reference, and I was looking at previous Bills season, just reliving the drought years and seeing who our best players were throughout those years. Thinking of doing a little video with that, by the way. I did a podcast on it a long time ago on one of my other accounts, and I thought it went really well. But this is really interesting. So who is the only Buffalo Bills receiver? I gave you a hint, I guess. So it's someone that played during the drought years. Who is the only Buffalo Bills receiver to have 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons?
I'm going to say Stevie Johnson.
Oh, that's pretty good, Mike. You got it.
Oh, yes. All right.
So a lot of people might think, Andre Reed, that's probably the first thought that jogs your brain there. Secondly, you think maybe Eric Moulds, maybe Lee Evans you throw into the mix, but Stevie Johnson, the only guy to do it. Now, Stephon Diggs has a chance next season to do it, but pretty crazy. I mean, just a very underrated player for the Bills. Had 3 straight 1,000-yard years. Yeah, they were low 1,000-yard seasons, but still, I mean, the guy was really good, a really good route runner. Never got enough credit. He played on the drought teams who went 7-9 pretty much every year, but he was great. He really was.
Didn't Stevie Johnson have that one big drop? I believe in a big game. Was it the
Steelers game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think it was overtime too.
Yes. I remember that. But
it would have been a touchdown.
I don't know why he came to mind first, but yeah, he was. I knew he
That's pretty good.
I knew.
I knew you could get that
decent career. So thanks for keeping it more recent than what you, or at least keeping it on the offensive side. When it's on the defense or special teams, oh my gosh.
And not an obscure player like Kelvin Shepard or someone like that. So.
All right, well, let's move on. Uncle Jay saying I love that Mike went all Mafia on his office mates. Absolutely. We upgraded. We'll get back to that after we get through the show here. We'll get back to our new virtual studio. All right, let's get into a little bit about the Chiefs. We've seen them the first time. This is a little deceiving here, what you're going to see. So obviously on the offensive side, they're 3rd in total yards per game. They're 16th in rushing yards per game. 4th pass yards per game, and 4th in points per game at 28.2. The Bills, 28.4. So very similar on the offensive side of things. Defense, if you look at this, you listen to me right now, if you're not seeing the visual, they're 8th on points per game, 21.4, 27th in yards per game, 27th in passing yards per game, 21st in rushing yards given up per game, and 29th in sacks on the year, 31. You look at those middle numbers, you're like, how are they 8th in points per game? A lot of that was early on in the season, probably weeks 1 through 5, 1 through 6. That's before things kind of, they got things in order. We'll talk about all that in a little bit when we talk about our impact players and the key matchups. But another reason was they were 6th in takeaways. They had 29. The Bills had 30. So they were very opportunistic with those takeaways, obviously. But you look at that, and it's deceiving. You're like, man, we're gonna destroy this defense. It's not the case, right, Jake? They've changed since week 6. And
I think the biggest thing, is got to be Chris Jones. I mean, we didn't even play against Chris Jones the first time we played the Chiefs, and they were playing him outside. They moved him back inside to his more natural position. Guy's unbelievable. Melvin Ingram finally woke up. He's starting to play football. You got Frank Clark on the other side, and then Nick Bolton right in the middle. Yeah. That guy, honestly, if it wasn't for a lot of other rookies, including Micah Parsons for the Cowboys, could have made a case for Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's how good he is. I really like that kid a lot. He was a 2nd-round pick out of, I think, Mississippi State, I want to say. Just a really, really good football player. I really like what he's shown lately.
All right, well, let's get into these key matchups and impact players since we're starting to talk about them already. Let's get into it.
I always jump ahead, Mike.
It's okay. It's all right. Sometimes, my questions lead you there, so it's my fault as much as yours. So Jake's key matchups. You got the Bills O-line versus the Chiefs D-line. And then you got the Chiefs receiver versus the Bills corner. So talk to me about that Bills O-line versus that Chiefs D-line.
Yeah, so, I already started talking about it. The whole thing with Chris Jones, we didn't play against him the first matchup, and I really thought that our offensive line handled them quite well. Mitch Morse played the game of his life playing his former team. I think he's got to come out and have a big game again. The last few weeks, he's been incredible. Probably the best player on our offensive line, hands down. Just the stuff that he's able to do. He's so athletic. You ever see a center just pull and get out in front and get to the next level as well as that guy does? I mean, it's really, really impressive. So, I mean, this is going to be a big test for us. Obviously, the Chiefs D-line has played really well lately. Melvin Ingram with the big strip sack, and, he's had some moments this year. And, Chris Jones obviously playing really well back in his natural position. Guy's 6'6", 310. I mean, he gets his hands up. He can knock passes down. He's super athletic. He gives the interior of an offensive line so much trouble. So I really, really think that this is going to be the key to the game for us offensively. It's just being able to, take care of them, being able to pass block. I do think that Josh is a little more comfortable when he rolls out and he gets outside of the pocket, but you don't want to force him to do that because you have pressure. I think there's a difference there. I think you have design rollout plays where he's really good, and then you have pressure rollout plays where they're not so good. So I really, really need our offensive line to play well today. I think Ryan Bates has played tremendous as well. Dion Dawkins has stepped it up a little bit. Spencer Brown's been manhandling with the run game. I mean, he's looked good too. And even Darrell Williams has really stepped it up. So it's going to be a big test today. And, that's something to definitely watch out for. Watch the battle in the trenches. I know it's not sexy or anything like that, but I freaking love it, Mike. It's tough. It's tough, gritty football. This is January football. It's what it's all about. So big one to watch today.
Yeah, so Chris Jones, they didn't play him the first time, and the Chiefs were kind of, they were playing at defensive end earlier in the season, and that just wasn't working for the guy, right? And then they get the trade with Melvin Ingram from the Steelers. By the way, Mike Tomlin is off my Christmas list for making this trade with them for basically nothing. They gave Ingram away for a 6th-rounder, and that allowed him to be on the edge. It allowed Chris Jones to go to his all-pro, defensive tackle spot. And that started changing things for them. Then they got Fred Clark back as well. Then they benched Daniel Sorensen, and they started their 3rd-year player, Juan Thornhill, who's free safety, which has allowed Tyrann Mathieu to play closer to the line where he excels. We know Tyrann Mathieu is a playmaker. So for him to be able to play closer to the line, I mean, that's trouble right there. So yeah, a lot of changes since that game we played them. And of course, on our side as well, you mentioned Spencer Brown. So I'm sure you've noticed that. I'm sure everyone noticed. What was the game? Was it the Bucs game where Spencer Brown had that 5-penalty debacle? What was the game? Was it that game?
Was it the Bucs or the Panthers game?
I don't remember.
The rebound game was the Panthers game. That's what it was. Yeah, because we played the Bucs and then
So it was the Bucs? You think? I don't know.
Honestly, it was.
Whatever game it was, whatever chewing out. I wanted to say a bad word, but I'm not going to. Whatever chewing out that he got from McDermott and other coaches, he's been a different person since that game. I mean, and again, it could be who's playing next to him, because I think is it Bates next to him now, or is it Williams?
No, Darrell Williams is on the side.
Okay, Darrell Williams
Bates is on the left. Yeah.
So they're going to have their hands full with because I know they move around Ingram. Ingram will come from the left side usually. Usually Jones is on the left side, but Jones will move around a little bit as well. So they're going to have their hands full, but he's been a different player. And again, I still see him over there. I'm always scared he's going to get a taunting penalty because you see him on the sidelines and he looks like he's walking the tightrope there.
He likes to talk on the field. Yeah,
he always scares me with that, but he's been playing very, very well.
You remember Richie Incognito? That's who
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but you need that attitude on the offensive line, but to a certain extent, you got to be smart too. You can't get dumb penalties.
Yeah. All right. Well, so talk to me about your other key matchup: the Chiefs receivers versus the Bills corners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really think the Bills corners have stepped it up since the Trey White incident. You know, he got injured and he's done for the year. And you're thinking, oh no, our season's over. I mean, they're just going to torch us on deep balls and, you know, we're going to get burned every single play. No, that hasn't been the case. Levi Wallace has stepped it up incredibly. I mean, the guy has really done a nice job filling in and, you know, playing that number one spot. And then Dane Jackson, yeah, he's had his, you know, his growing pains and whatnot, but man, he has just been really, really solid. He can play in this league. And I mean, he's a 7th round pick. The guy was supposed to be, you know, maybe a backup player, maybe a role player. He was a steal in the 7th round, in my opinion. I knew he was a tough physical corner. He's played really well this year, and I've been extremely impressed. Now, it's a huge test because you got speed on the outside. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Mecole Hardman, and then you got some other guys in between, even Byron Pringle, who's done really well this year with the Chiefs. So it's going to be a real test for us. Obviously, you got Travis Kelce, Killer Trav. I really like what we did in the first matchup against him because you got Saran Neal, who you put right on him. You got to jam him. You got to be physical with Travis Kelce because I think you could take advantage of him a little bit. Not saying he's soft or anything like that, but if you get him off his route, you jam him a little bit, it kind of can throw him off. The first game we played against the Chiefs, I think he had 6 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. So if we could limit him to that, that's a win for us because that guy puts up numbers. I mean, he's the only player outside of Jerry Rice to have 7 100-yard receiving games in the playoffs, which is incredible. I mean, you're talking about the GOAT here. So you put this guy, a tight end, in the same category as Jerry Rice. It's pretty impressive. So, and his career's not even done. Jerry Rice played 23 seasons. Like Travis Kelce's played, 10 years maybe? So it's just, it's really amazing what he's done. He's such an asset to that team. I don't think he's the greatest blocker. I think that's the only thing that kind of throws him off a little bit. Sometimes you see some blocks that are decent, but a lot of times I feel like he's just not as physical as he should be as a tight end. He's almost like a hybrid. You know, he's a receiver / tight end. So that's going to be really interesting to see how we attack that. Like the last time, I really loved what we did with Saran Neal. He's a bigger body guy. He played in the nickel. He got on top of Travis Kelce and really made him, kind of shut him down. So, and then on the outside, you got so much speed. You know, I was talking about the corners, specifically the outside corners. That's going to be a real test. I think this is where we're going to see how much we miss Trey White, potentially. I hope that's not the case, but it's going to be really tough to defend Tyreek and Mecole Hardman. It really is. They just, speed kills. You can't coach speed. And I don't know. I mean, even on that play against New England, thank God Micah Hyde had that interception because Levi Wallace was beat on that play. And that was Jacoby Myers. So imagine what Tyreek Hill can do you on the deep ball. And Pat Mahomes can throw it deep. That's another difference too. It's not Mac Jones throwing the football out there. This is Pat Mahomes. A little bit different ball game. So yeah, it's going to be one to watch. I think no matter what, the Chiefs they're going to come out firing. They're going to probably put up at least, I think we're going to hold them in check, but I think we have to score over 30 points in order to win this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. So you said a lot there, and I agree. And I was watching so I like to watch a lot of the shows, a lot of the pregame shows from the different channels, but I also like to watch the other side. So I was on the Kansas City podcast last night, and they were talking about how this is really, I mean, we lost Trey White, but we didn't really play anybody since we lost Trey White. They said, look what Brady did without Trey White. Kind of lit us up. They did put up a lot of yardage. Now in that second half, we fixed some things, and but they were putting some numbers up, and now we're facing a very, very fast vertical team. So like you said, huge challenge there. And again, I have to agree with them a little bit. I mean, other than who do we play? We played although you could argue that, no, I was going to say, other than the Buccaneers, who have we really played that's had really stout receivers and fast receivers?
Yeah.
Nobody. So,
really?
I mean, but think about this, though. When we did have Trey White the first game, Trey White wasn't blanking and Tyreek Hill all over the field. They just had a scheme, and a lot of teams are doing this now with the Chiefs. I watched a couple of their games, and back in week 5, whenever we played them, they were still the old Chiefs trying to go deep with everything, and that was getting shut down. Now they're a different team. They've adapted. They're taking what the defense has given them, sort of like the Bills have had to do, right? Similar thing. We had to adjust. We had to take what the defense has given us, and that's been very successful for us. We're going on these 8-9 play drives. So is Kansas City. So they're following that same mold there.
It is interesting you say that too. They're taking what the defense gives them, because I think this year, out of all years that I've watched the Chiefs play, they've done a lot more underneath to Tyreek Hill instead of the deep balls. You're not seeing as many deep balls to him, and he's good with yards after the catch. I mean, that's where he's really dangerous. You get him in space. I mean, he's going to make guys miss. He can go sideline to sideline. He can outrun anyone. So yeah, you get him underneath on those crossing patterns even too. That's another thing to look out for. So Taron Johnson's got to have a big day too. It's got to be a collective effort. I definitely agree. Razor Sharp Sports Report. Love the name, man. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer need to have a big day. They got to have a lot of help in the back there. So it's going to be huge for our safeties too.
Yep. And then Razor Sharp coming in with, he's exactly right. Taron Johnson did cover Tyreek a lot of it. So whenever Hill would go in motion from that slot area, that was Taron Johnson. And he's going to need to step it up huge as well. And he did a great job the first time. So again, this is going to be the first big test against a receiving core like this, and you can throw Kelsey in the mix as well. So going to be a big challenge. But I think I think you could say the same for the other side as well. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Absolutely. Hey, I just want to give a shout out too. I got some friends in Kansas City. They're actually work friends, but I consider them a good personal friend as well. We go back and forth a lot in group chats. They live out in KC. The one guy's now living in Florida, but shout out to the Quackenbushes, incredible human beings. Love those guys to death. I think they might be watching the show. They tuned in a little bit, said the show is pretty solid, Mike. So, I actually asked them about KC barbecue a little bit. We were talking about it last week. I guess Gates Barbecue is one of the places to go out there. So I was thinking, I was mulling it over in my head, man, I wonder what flights and tickets would be to go to KC, but, obviously didn't make the trip, but I know a lot of people who have, so pretty cool stuff. But yeah, shout out to those guys. Hopefully it's a good game. I'm hoping we'll be hosting the AFC Championship after this, but, may the best man win.
Yep, for sure. All right. So I kind of switched it up on my key matchups, and I'm saying the Bills receivers versus the KC corners. I mean, they're going to have their hands full. Right? I mean, when you talk about the defense on the Chiefs side, nobody's mentioning their corners. They're talking about Chris Jones. They're talking about Fred Clark. They're talking about Bolden. They're talking about did I say Ingram already? If I didn't, Ingram.
Yeah.
They're talking about those guys. So they're going to have their hands full. They had their hands full the first time, and also last year in that AFC Championship game. Not Kelsey, but our guy, Dawson Knox, wasn't the tight end that he is this year. So always when I go through the games, I'm always like, what are the pros and cons? Where are the strengths? Last year, the strength was Kelsey. And I forgot to mention, last year, Jake, Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, between the two of them, they put up 290 yards receiving on us.
Yeah.
290 yards.
That's insane.
Are you kidding me? That can't happen. If that happens.
Right.
We're going to get blown out again. We just cannot happen. We need to limit them for sure. So I feel KC has to worry just as much as we do about those receivers. Because look, I want to see more Isaiah Mckenzie. I want to see him in there. He had that big game against New England, and yeah, we've had him in on more packages. I can't really throw the ball to him too much. The guy is super fast. Get the ball out to him a little bit.
Absolutely.
Right. I want to see that. Let's utilize our speed. We have some speed on our side as well.
We do.
Let's utilize it. And then Mahomes versus the Bills D-line. The reason I say this is, look, everyone talks about how Josh can extend the play and run. Mahomes can do the same. I think actually even last year in the AFC Championship game, or was it the game in Week 5? I forget. I'm getting mixed up. But, Mahomes had more rushing yards than Josh Allen. And I've watched a few of his last 2 or 3 games. He can extend the play. He'll take, if we're not containing or we're not having containment on that defensive line, it's going to eat us up by just taking what he's going to, he's going to run the ball for 8, 9, 10 yards. He's fast. He's actually pretty damn fast.
Sneaky athleticism. He ran like a 4.8 140, but the guy can get out and, once he gets moving, those wheels, his game speed's a lot faster than his
exactly
40 speed.
I mean, I guess when you got 300-pound guys coming at you,
you're running for
the
your
juices
life.
kick in and you you're able to go a little bit faster. But yeah, we've got to keep containment. I know we've had Sean from the White Bills on our show, and he always says Jerry Hughes blows containment all the time, right?
Yeah.
That can't happen. So we got to have, Rousseau does a fantastic job with that. So I expect to see a lot of Rousseau, unless, again, unless there's certain situations that we want Jerry on the field. But I think Rousseau will do a good job there. And he had a fantastic game. Rousseau's had a really good season. But let's talk about his game back there in week 5, right? What he did on that play where he was able to tip the ball up in the air and intercept it, that was huge. And so I expect to see a lot of Rousseau as well. And then you talk about, again, watching the show last night from the Chiefs side of things, they talked about, all the people that they didn't have. Well, we didn't have Star last year in the game. We didn't have an emerging Harrison Phillips like we do this year. We didn't have Rousseau. Boogie, let me tell you something. I hope Boogie's active today because every time Boogie's active, he seems to get a sack.
Yeah.
So get him in there, and then Epinesa have coming on this year a little bit. So with those guys added, the depth that we had, the ability for us to rotate fresh people in all the time, I mean, I think it's a big benefit for us. So
100%. And Greg Rousseau had a monster day. I think he was Rookie of the Week and Player of the Week for the AFC the last time we played the Chiefs. So expect him to repeat that performance. It's got to happen.
All right, what do we got out there in the channel?
We got a lot out here in the channel. So first off, shout out to Rick. He commented on my shout out. That's pretty nice. My shout out. We got Razor Sharp Sports Report talking about the safeties. My dad saying 37-27. Bills already given a score prediction. Love that, Dad. That's incredible. Double-digit win. Love to see it. Then we got Football Fan 28. This is amazing. Last night we learned that ivermectin is not a performance-enhancing drug, and A-Rod has the antibodies to prevent getting the Super Bowl trophy. Also, those damn snowflakes caused him to lose too. Ha ha. That's hilarious. I actually love that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and then Razor coming back.
Dr. Joe Rogan, baby. You know what? So I was talking about this a little bit before. I really do love that A-Rod speaks his mind. If you ever have a chance just to listen to him on McAfee, a lot of people think he's arrogant and all this other stuff. I think everyone has a right. It's good to listen to other people and their perspectives and stuff like that. You might not agree with it. A lot of people don't agree with it. And, it is what it is. But, and I think people are super happy that he lost just because of that alone. It's almost like you're watching this guy he's just been talking his trash all year long. He goes out, he scores 7 points in the first half. You think, oh man, like what's going on with this Packers offense? He did not play well in the second half either. So it's almost, it's a nice people call it karma, whatever you want to call it,
And we got Razor coming back saying our O-line is the key difference between both previous matchups. We give Allen time, it will turn that Chief secondary into Swiss cheese. Totally agree there. And then Slinky, good to see you, Slinky. And again, thanks everyone for coming out and supporting us today. Appreciate you guys in the channel. Slinky saying, should we be scared of Hill or Kelsey? Because when we played the Chiefs in October, we had Trey White. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, Slinky. Definitely a concern. This is probably the fastest receiving core, the most vertical passing team that we faced. I mean, last time we faced a good team that had anything similar, which was Tom Brady, they kind of lit us up there for a little bit. Now we made adjustments in the second half. So yeah, Slinky, definitely a little concern.
Yeah.
Razor Sharp brings up, I had a question for you, Jake, and I was going to wait for the right time, but I better ask it because a lot of times when I have these great questions that I'm going to ask you, I forget because I get caught up in the show. So, and then we're going to talk about some of the impact players, so it may spoil some of those, but that's okay. My question to you is this Bills team, they finished 11-6 last year. We were 13-3 when we went to KC. Is this Bills team as good as, better than, or not as good as the team that went into KC last year? And whatever you answer, why is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually think that we are better. I think last year was a totally different circumstance. We're a 13-3 team. We're rolling in the playoffs, but our offense going into that KC game, we did not play well against the Ravens at all offensively. If it wasn't for that Taron Johnson pick 6, that might be a totally different outcome. And then Justin Tucker missing 2 field goals. That's huge. I mean, that's ultimately the game last year. I think that really was the biggest turnaround for us is when we had the pick six by Taron Johnson. Our defense played lights out against the Ravens. Our offense did not play particularly well. Now we have two pieces. We have an offense and a defense that are kind of just riding the high right now. So we're hot. We're on a big winning streak, 5-game winning streak now heading into this game. I think we're in a totally different position, and we have the best chance out of any year to beat KC.
Yeah, so I have to agree with Razor about the O-line. So it took us a while. Like, we could not figure out why a team bringing back the starters from last year was struggling so much during the year. Now, you can argue that Dawkins had COVID, and maybe it took him a long time. I know COVID can knock you out for a very long time. So maybe it took him a while to adjust, and they were switching players in and out. They were brought in Spencer Brown to start. I think in game 3 or 4, took him a while to adjust. And so I have to agree. For me, even though it took us a long time, I do feel the O-line's better than it ever has been going into this game. So there's one advantage. Yes, I totally agree. You give Josh time, we're going to compete with any team, and we're going to bring it to the Chiefs today. On the D side, I went back and I'm like, all right, who started last year? And I do think with the addition of Starr coming back, and I know Starr's been kind of he's not the starter anymore. Harrison Phillips has taken over that starting position, but Starr still a big being able to rotate that type of player in, super helpful. So and then with our additions of Boogie and Russo, mostly Russo, I do give us an edge on defense as well, slightly better than last year's team. And then the biggest thing for me, Jake, is the confidence level. Look, when they went into the Chiefs last year, the Chiefs had just come off a Super Bowl win. This is the Chiefs team that had been in back-to-back AFC championship games. And look, Mahomes had to lose to Brady his first time in the AFC championship, got over the hump, and they came back and won that the next year, went on to win the Super Bowl. But Josh Allen had to experience the same thing, right? We experienced that loss last year. Team talks about it all the time. So having that experience and then coming back and beating them in week 5, no matter what the teams look like, to beat them there in KC, huge for the confidence. And I think that's also a big piece for me, is why I think we have a very good shot at winning this game.
I love that, Mike. I 100% agree with that. 100%.
All right, let's get into our impact players, Jake. On your side, Josh Allen, Isaiah McKenzie, and Saran Neal. Talked about those a little bit, but go through them.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we talked a little bit about Isaiah McKenzie, so shed light on this guy. Every time he's in the game, every time he touches the football, I think he really makes an impact and can just alter the game so much in a positive way for us. I mean, we removed this guy. We had him as a healthy scratch for 2 consecutive games. And then all of a sudden we started to insert him in the offense little by little. And he had that big outbreak game against New England on the 26th of December, right after Christmas. People think this guy's non-existent. He's probably going to be gone. Then he comes back and shows exactly why we got him in the first place. He's so good. He creates I think he really does create a lot of confusion with the defense on the opposing team. It just, you have a lot of motions pre-snap, and, you don't know what this guy's going to do. You don't know if he's going to take a sweep. You don't know if he's going to take an end around, or if he's going to catch the ball, or what he's going to do, a screen. There's a lot of different ways that you can utilize him, and he's shown that he is a weapon, and he's so freaking fast too. I don't think people realize how fast this guy is. He's probably the second fastest player on the team, just behind Matt Breida. So got to get him involved early. I think he's going to be key for this. They're going to probably try to take away Stephon Diggs. They're going to try to take away the outside guys, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. So get these guys underneath, get them across the middle, get them in some run plays. I think Cole, I'm saying these guys as in Isaiah McKenzie and Cole Beasley. Cole's been pretty quiet lately. He had 1 catch for 19 yards last week. I think the underneath stuff's going to be wide open today. I think that's a big opportunity for us to take the underneath stuff, get Josh feeling comfortable, then take a deep shot. I've been saying it all season. I feel like that's a key to success, a recipe to win, and we got to take advantage of it. And then Josh Allen, I have on the list here, playing the perfect game last week. Goes 21 of 25, 308 yards, 5 touchdowns, threw more touchdowns than incompletions. I mean, the guy's insane, and he had 65 rushing yards to go with it. So. Last time he played against the Chiefs, too, he played pretty damn well. I think he went 15 for 26 for 315 yards. Had a rushing touchdown, 59 rushing yards. So kind of similar stats, in that sense. I expect him to put the weight of his shoulders, the whole team weight of the shoulders on him, and just to take this team to the next level. So I think he's going to have a monster day. It's time.
Yeah.
I'm rambling like crazy. I'm losing my train of thought. I'm thinking so many different things. I'm looking at the
You're
channel.
looking at the channel. Well, yeah. So Zach, you got to look at Zach, because you actually told me this in the middle of the week, and I don't know where you're waiting for. He's like, why is Reggie Gilliam not on your impact player this week? But let me give you a moment to talk about him, because we know how you love those fullbacks.
So he says, Jake, how is Reggie Gilliam not your number one impact player? Do you not appreciate fullbacks, and why do you think they have no place in the modern NFL? So that's totally false. I don't know why you're even saying that.
Yes, that is false.
I'm going to tell you this. So last week against New England, I was texting you about this, Mike. I thought Reggie Gilliam was enormous. And, statistically, yeah, he had maybe a catch, I think. But the stuff that you're not going to see on a stat sheet is exactly what he did to New England's defense. So New England's defense came in thinking that we were running 12 personnel a lot of the time, when in reality we weren't. Reggie Gilliam is kind of like a hybrid. He could play tight end, he could play fullback. We used him mainly as a fullback last week, but I think New England was a little confused. You could even see it. They thought that this was an extra tight end, so it kind of messed them up defensively. Secondly, the blocks that Reggie Gilliam was putting on the linebackers for New England was just unbelievable. So shout out to him. Doesn't get enough credit. I have my jersey. I already placed it in order for it on DH Gate. So hopefully it comes within the next few weeks or so here, maybe in time for the Super Bowl. Probably not. But that's my guy. I think the fullback absolutely has a place in the modern NFL. I don't know what the heck Zach's talking about. We're a big fullback show here. You saw Kyle Juszczyk last night, one of the best in the league to do it. And I think the unique thing about fullbacks is, the running game isn't as big of a thing now in the NFL, but they can come out if they're a two-dimensional player such as Kyle Juszczyk, they could be a big piece of the offense. And if they're like Reggie Gilliam, who you think could play tight end or fullback, they could confuse the defense. So they do still have a place in the modern NFL.
All right, good. I'm sorry, my little boy's walking in here. So good morning, buddy. He's just waking up. It's early out here on the West Coast. He's
love it.
Stopping to see me. I'll be with you in a bit.
So I'm going to look at a couple more comments in the chat here.
Yeah, so I see, first of all, I want to recognize a couple of my friends out there. Holly Lucero, first time you're coming to the channel, Holly. I know she's a big friend of the family's. She's basically family to us. So appreciate you being out there, Holly, in such a big game. And hopefully you hit that subscribe button for us, which I'm sure you have. You're always supporting the family. So appreciate you. My coworker, Farida. Now, she's out there, and you know what? He is a Chiefs fan. She's going to be pulling for the Chiefs. But
oh, wow.
But while the Chiefs, during the season, she's been a Bills supporter. She gives me the support. This game's going to be a little different. Frida, appreciate you being out there, as always. But go ahead, Jake. I'll let you talk about the other ones that came in.
Yeah, Saran Neal, I talked about him, jamming Travis Kelce. I think you can get him off his route a little bit. And last time we played the Chiefs, that was kind of the method for success. You got to take care of Travis Kelce. He's a big part of that offense. And Saran Neal's a bigger body guy. I think he's like 6'2", 210, something like that. So a little bit bigger than your typical corner. He plays in the nickel. He does a really nice job. Great special teams player, too. Shout out to him for that. But I think, we put him on Travis Kelce. That's the recipe right there. Then who would I have here? So for KC, we talked about Pat Mahomes, obviously, and Travis Kelce. So I won't go into too much detail about them. Chris Jones, we talked about how he was outside. They moved him back inside to his more natural position, and he's just been dominant. He's just a really good football player. We're going to have to take care of him. It's going to be a test for our interior O-line. And I really think the battle is going to be won in the trenches, not to sound cliche, but I think that's going to be huge today.
I agree. You got Razor out there saying my mind's all over the place with this matchup. Sort of like what your mind is, Jake, all over the place.
I know. I'm talking and I'm thinking 1,000 different things at once. I can't get my thoughts out properly, so I do apologize. I really do.
It's fine. And he says, I've been up since 8 a.m. drinking espresso, consuming content. Well, we appreciate you choosing us to come over and consuming our content. We really appreciate that, Razor. And yeah, he gives Farida a little boo there. So, all right, let's move on to my impact players. Devin Singletary, I think you left him for me because you know I've been a Singletary guy all year, and this is a big difference, right? I think last year going into the we didn't have much of a running game last year. We didn't have much of a running game most of the year this year until they finally decided to go with Singletary as the primary guy, and look what that's done. And you could argue that we haven't played quality teams, but we played Bill Belichick twice. And it worked both times. And that him with the offensive line is a big factor here because we don't always. Now, you have to respect the run game. You can't, earlier in the season, none of the defense cared about our running game. They know we couldn't run, so they just focused on the pass game. They can't do that anymore. They have to respect the running game. So that's going to help Josh out tremendously. Tremaine Edmonds, let me tell you, I know I've been a little critical over the last year and this year. Some of your friends as well have been critical. You've been a big supporter of his. And I'll tell you, in the last 4 weeks since the Buccaneers game, there's been something that's changed with Edmonds. He's not over pursuing as much as he usually does, which leaves that gap for those running backs. I'm not so concerned. Yes, they have a decent running game, but you saw it on the stat line. The running game is not where they get their paycheck. I'm not afraid of the running game. And even if they do try, I think we're going to stuff it. That was the thing last year. Last year, we struggled against the run, right? Going into the playoffs, that was another big thing. We struggled against the run. You can argue we struggled against the run against really good running teams this year. But if you really look at those in detail, other than the Indy game, it was usually one big play. It was usually one or two big plays. Other than that, they got shut down. Indy was different. Indy really manhandled us. No doubt. But there's been a change. And it really starts with Edmonds in the middle there. He shuts that down. And because I said Mahomes can run, you got to contain. Dare I say, spy him a little bit with Edmonds? Dare I say that?
Okay.
All right.
I like that, Mike.
Everyone's talking about Josh's ability. I'm telling you, Mahomes can run. So we're going to have to make sure that somebody's there. If he sees a 250-pound 4-5 runner coming at him, gonna put a little fear in him. So let's get Tremaine Edmonds. I love that. A little spy on him. Taron Johnson, yes, I've been accused of buying stock in Taron Johnson. He showed up on my impact player throughout the year. I don't know how many times, and he's yet to make that big play. I mean, he does. Let's face it, he makes a lot of big plays. I guess I've been looking for that pick six from him, but he makes a lot of great plays, and he's going to have his hands full again. He did a great job with Tyreek Hill in the first game. I think he does the same again this time around. On the KC side, we already talked about all these guys. Tyreek Hill, we know how good he is. And again, they need to contain him. He can't go off for, I think it was 100 and, what do you have? He had 172 yards last year in the AFC Championship game against us. 172 yards. You cannot have that happen. So again, we're going to have to contain him. Tyrann Mathieu, we talked about him earlier as well with them bringing in Thornhill now at the starting position. It has allowed Mathieu to be closer to the line where he excels. And then Melvin Ingram I put on here as well because he has been able to allow Jones to move inside. And Ingram, he's a 10-year vet. And he's a little different than your normal edge rusher. He doesn't usually beat the guys on the outside. He's a physical guy. So he takes on the offensive tackles and goes and
he's only 6'1" too. Yeah. He's a little shorter. He's like not Elvis Dumerville short. He's not 5'11", but I'm telling you, he's a little lower center of gravity, so a little more physical. He likes to bull rush a little bit. He's tough. He's played really well lately too. So
yeah. And then so Razor says Taron has been spectacular in coverage this year. He absolutely has, and that could be a reason why that the Trey White injury hasn't seemed to be as apparent as we thought it was going to be. But again, this is going to be a big matchup here. And again, Taron Johnson's a big part of that guy. I mean, there's a reason why we signed him to a 3-year, $24 million contract. Yep. I mean, the guy's just been getting better every year. He's a playmaker. So expect to see that today. Let's see. Did I get everyone in the channel? Need to watch for the short pass and the flat. Yep, we talked about that. Uncle Jay saying that. Both teams, I think you got to watch for that. I mean, because KC has learned that they got to take what the defense is giving them. And yeah, they'll still take your shots. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a couple big shots.
Oh, absolutely.
To Hill, Pringle.
Why wouldn't you?
McCole Hardman. They're all fast. They're all speedy receivers. That's the difference. Usually you got one super fast guy. They've got 2 or 3 very speedy receivers.
They race each other when they score touchdowns. It's wild.
Yeah. And, but on one of the other podcasts I was watching for KC, they felt like this year where the receiving core was a weakness from years past. So other than Tyreek Hill, of course. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. It's always interesting to get the other side's perspective.
Absolutely. Hey, shout out to my buddy Nick. I know you joined in. You watched a little bit. Appreciate you, buddy. Not sure if you're on your way to work or you're going to church or what you're doing, but thanks for tuning in. Love you. And then Razor Sharp Sports Report, another good point or something that he said about his key matchups. He said Matt Milano and Matt Milano on Travis Kelce and Dawson Knox versus Dirty Dan Sorensen are his key matchups. I like that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people talk about Matt Milano right now either. I mean,
that's true.
That's sort of been his MO, is just flying under the radar. He's been a stellar player for us, just a really good linebacker, plays well in coverage. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see him. I think he's going to have to a little bit, probably play on Travis Kelce. Yeah. And then Dirty Dan, he comes in. I think typically on pass situations, he's not the starter anymore. They're, they have, what's his name now? Oh my gosh, Juan Thornhill. Yes, Juan Thornhill. Thank you. So that'll be interesting to see.
All right, got me drinking there. All right, normally we go to our bold prediction slide here, but we're going to go back to the main studio here and talk about bold predictions and score predictions. And I want to remind everybody to put your score predictions in the comments, because if you hit the score prediction, we give out a $50 gift card. So Amazon gift card. So put your score predictions out there in that channel now. And there have been some weeks where we're like, you know what? It's hard to hit the number right on. If we find that someone's really close, we've given the card away as well. So please put those score predictions out there. So Jake, let's start with you. For me, okay, first of all, let me say I'm not going to do any bold predictions this week. And the reason why, I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that. I just want to talk football and be realistic here with folks. I don't want to give any fuel to the Kansas City folks. But
I love that.
I'm going to start with you. If you want to give a bold prediction, please do.
I'm going to be the total opposite. I'm going in here guns blazing.
All right,
this is pure confidence. It's not cockiness, it's confidence, because I know what our team can do. If we play like we did last week, we're not losing another game. So, my bold prediction, 2 100-yard receivers today.
Ooh.
I don't know who, but we're going to have 2. And then secondly, the defense records 5 sacks.
Defense is 5 sacks. Okay.
Yep.
That'll be quite a feat, because like wild. I said, because
if that happens, we're definitely
because Mahomes is, like you said, we've talked about it. He can get away. He can extend plays. He's sneaky fast. Let's put it that way. My dad's out there saying no commentator curses, please. Yes, Dad, I'm not looking to give any curses out there. I am a little superstitious about that stuff as well. So you already did you give your score prediction?
So my score prediction, Mike, I've been saying this all week. I'm not backing down from it. 35-24 Bills. So I'm going to type that in the chat right now. And we're going to make this official. 35-24.
All right. So before I give mine, let me give you some of the Chiefs podcast that I watched last night was 4 guys on their show. Pretty good podcast. Pretty fair guys, I would say. They said some things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but who doesn't? I mean, I'm sure we say things that rubs the opposing team's fans the wrong way as well. But they were pretty fair on their score predictions. So all 4 of them were for the Chiefs, of course, but they had 30-24 Chiefs, 27-26 Chiefs. They had 2 guys that said they had that number, which is just a weird number to me. But 2 of the guys said 27-26 Chiefs, and the final guy said 31-27. So you can see how close they're keeping it. And I'm going to keep it pretty much the same. I'm going to go with a 31-28 Buffalo victory. 3 points maybe at the end of the game. Maybe what we saw yesterday, both teams win with field goals at the end of the game. So we'll see if that trend continues. Of course, I would always love something that's not going to get my heart racing. I loved last week's game. I mean, by halftime, you were feeling pretty good. You were starting to celebrate. Yeah. I'm still always a little leery until it gets into the fourth quarter. But this is 2 teams. I mean, they look in the mirror, they're so similar, Jake. They're so similar, and it's going to be who can make the play on defense, who can make 1 or 2 stops. Who has that turnover? They both are good turnover teams. They're both opportunistic there. Who can make that stop? Who can make that turnover? And to me, that's going to be the difference in the game. And again, I hope the refs keep their hands out of it. Let them play football. Let's not talk about at the end of the game.
Yeah, I don't want to be talking about a debated call or anything like that. Yeah, I don't want that. No.
So that's how I have it. It's going to be a close one. Again, it's going to be, man, I can't wait. I'm going to have to go burn some time with my son at the park after this show just to keep it out of mine. And I don't know. AFC Championship game on the line, potentially hosted in at Highmark Orchard Park. I mean, come on, it doesn't get any.
Gonna have to start a GoFundMe for those tickets too. By the way, I was looking at prices, and it's just, just unfortunate. I want to go, I really do. It's just, I don't know, Mike. I don't know. Well, it's a lot of money.
You kind of ruined it. You kind of ruined my. So yesterday I was at the park with my son, and it's right before the last game of the night. And I told him, look, when I was younger and the Bills were during their 4 Super Bowl run, they played one of the Super Bowls. I think it was out in Pasadena, driving distance from me, and I didn't go. And I regretted that. And I always said, if I ever get a chance where the Bills go to a Super Bowl that I can drive to, I'm gonna go. But you kind of put a damper on that with me before the show started when you told me tickets were going for a couple grand. Now it is going to be.
So I looked.
At SoFi.
Not a couple grand. It's more.
Oh my God.
I'm on SeatGeek right now, and I have it sorted from price lowest to highest. This is with fees included.
Yeah.
So this is everything. $7,977.
What? All right. Well, maybe I'll go to the game and watch from the outside on the day. Hopefully they got a screen outside.
Watching on the outside. Trying to get tickets.
There's no way I'm going to pay that price. I'll reach out to all the contacts. I do have folks that have contacts out here in California, and I'll see if anyone has a contact at SoFi to get a face value price.
Hey, maybe in the future we'll have our own set, at the Super Bowl or something.
That would be cool. That'd be cool. So what do we got here? Yep, Big Uncle Jay saying, they're mirrors of each other and razor sharp. Thousands. He said, oh my God, thousands. They went up since last night. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
I don't know how anyone can afford that, honestly.
And it sucks because you have a lot of diehard fans that would really like to go, that might not be season ticket holders. And I think season ticket holders, they're locked in at a certain price. I think they're only like $200 for season ticket holders. But you have people that, would love to go to the game. They've been watching this team year in, year out, just getting our heads kicked in. We finally have a chance to host an AFC Championship. Now, listen, we got to get through this game first, so we don't want to talk too much ahead. No. But hypothetically, if we have the opportunity to go to this game, you're not going unless you're paying between $600 to $1,000, which is crazy. Even 300 level seats right now are going for $600. And, I think it's, obviously supply and demand. And, you have fans that are going to pay that much anyway, so might as well keep them high. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I'm just checking my notes here real quick to make sure. There's always something I forget to ask you, but I think I covered most of it. I mean, I called this on the slide. I said this is the shootout at the KC Corral. Now, Jake, I know you're young, but you've history books. Shootout Absolutely. At the OK Corral. You're familiar with that, right?
Yep.
So I'm hoping that the Bills play the role of Wyatt Earp and his brothers.
Love that.
And they go to the KC Corral and take out the Clanton McClory gang. Let's go.
Let's go, Mike. That's incredible.
All right, everyone. We appreciate you. And something, we always talk about, Jake and I have decided that we are not going to do a post-game. We're going to do one final post-game. And we're hoping it's going to be the post-game show after the Super Bowl. But whenever the Bills season ends, that's when we'll do our last postseason game. We're going to keep it going. We haven't been doing postseason games. It's been working. We're going to keep it rolling. And again, we hope that it's the last game after the Super Bowl, celebrating
right.
victory. But we don't know. Today, let's just get through this one game.
We'll have some Bills content for you too, Mike. We got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of ideas up here for the offseason too, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got another month still to go. So
yeah. So we got everybody out there. So thanks again, Jake. Any last thoughts you want to share?
Well, I want to give just a nice little rant speech just to end this off the right way. I feel like I have to. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this team my entire life. Every single Sunday I've woke up, gone to battle, sat there for hours on end, watching television, watching the pregame show, watching the Bills game. A lot of times it ends in a loss. Last year we have an opportunity. We get to the AFC Championship. We go to KC and we lose, and it's just the worst feeling in the entire world. It's like you got kicked in the gut. And I just sat there for hours just sulking. It was the worst feeling in the entire universe. But we have an opportunity today to end all those bad feelings. I just dropped my phone. I'm so fired up. And all those bad feelings, put an end to this streak, show who's the real king of the AFC, get to a home AFC Championship game, and I think it's going to be done. We're going to put our faith into the hands of Lieutenant Josh Allen, and he's going to take us and lead us to victory. It's going to be incredible. I know there's a lot of Bills fans out there in KC. I hope they're doing great. I hope they're loud. I know that stadium's going to be loud regardless. Remember Arrowhead Stadium? It was the loudest stadium in America. I don't know if it still is, but I'll tell you what. I know the Bills fans showed up. I think the Bills are going to show up. 35-24 Bills. Let's do it, Mike.
All right. I don't have anything else to say other than Josh
I think I lost you. I don't know if I can hear you.
Josh / Wyatt pulls this out for us. So let's go. Everyone else, thank you again. We appreciate your support all the time. Love having you guys out on the channel. We see some new faces out there today. Really appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Everyone, have a great one. Talk soon.
All right.
Bye.
Go Bills.